Imagine your son is autistic, 11 years old, and had autism since early in his childhood, and he has a little bit of a spat at school. Doesn't understand something, or something sets him off, as can happen with people that are troubled with autism. And he has an outburst. The police are called in because of your son's outburst. And as a result of the officer trying to deal with the situation, and perhaps not dealing with it as best he could have, your son kicks over a trash can as the officer is trying to restrain him. He's, upset. He's having a bit of a tantrum, perhaps. He's 11 years old, and he has autism. The trash can gets kicked over. Officer finally manages to subdue your child. And the end result is that because of that kicking over of the trash can, your 11-year-old son is being charged with a felony assault on a police officer. Does that sound drastic? Does it sound like fiction, made up? Sound like something that you could never happen? Well, Caleb Moon Robinson, who is diagnosed as autistic, had barely started 6th grade last fall in Lynchburg, Virginia, when a school resource officer filed charges against him. Caleb was charged with disorderly conduct for kicking over a trash can, and then with felony assault on a police officer because he struggled to break free when the cop grabbed him. Any child that if you've been around children, I have children, and if you grab them, a lot of times the response is going to be to struggle to break free. It's an 11-year-old child. Do you think that a felony assault on a police officer, is an appropriate response for an 11-year-old child? An autistic 11-year-old child who probably didn't have the situation dealt with very well by the officer in the first place. It sounds draconian. It sounds like not a set of circumstances or a situation that I would want to be living in. And I would be horrified if I was poor Caleb's parent. Yet, it happened. And I kind of think this is almost endemic or systemic to what we're seeing with a lot of other problems with police in the country. And I think what's happening is because we have more video cameras and more social media, something that has been a problem with the system, something that is systemic, is coming to light more often now. And I think the light's getting shone on it, and we're realizing that perhaps a lot of the police are a lot more heavy-handed and maybe not trained to properly handle a situation, or just don't handle situations properly. People are getting shot with seemingly much greater occurrence these days. We've seen a lot of black racial shootings, and here we have, did I mention? Caleb is also black. I don't know if that factors in. I didn't bring it up initially because I don't really think it's important here, other than the fact that perhaps that officer might have treated Caleb different if he was a young white boy. And then we get outrage from cops when people like myself in the media point this out. Don't get me wrong. I think highly of cops. I think most cops are very good people and handle things well. But I think where the problem here is that the police should come out themselves against this type of thing, against the shootings, against, whenever we see a terrible thing happen by a police officer, an unjustified shooting, any type of this type of behavior, the police should be the first ones out in front of it saying, we do not agree with it, not standing behind a blue wall and defending it, which is what we're seeing far too often. So, just when I saw this, this to me is outrageous. I don't want to live in a society where this type of thing happens to an 11-year-old boy with autism. This needs to change. This needs to stop. And again, I think it's part of the systemic problem that needs to be addressed. What do you guys think? What do you think? Am I right here? Is there a systemic problem in law enforcement? Do you agree with me that the police should be the first ones out front saying, hey, this isn't us. We don't want to be like this. This is some bad apples. And how do we change it as a society? How do we look at this? Leave some comments below. Let's have a discussion on it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back soon.